Now to another story getting a lot of talk in Western New York today. Changes in the state's alcohol rules that will make it easier to enjoy booze at movie theaters. Maybe a beer to go along with your popcorn. A few years ago, alcohol sales were allowed in movie theaters for the first time. But under those rules, the theater either had to have a full kitchen and have a server deliver the drinks, basically kind of had to be a restaurant, or you could get the drinks at a dedicated vendor in the lobby, but you couldn't take them to your seat. Well, that was then. Now, the State Liquor Authority has voted unanimously to let theaters sell beer and wine alongside all the other concessions. And importantly, patrons will be able to take all of that back to their seats. The ruling takes effect immediately for any theater that is already licensed to sell alcohol. For all of the others, the SLA told us today that it could take up to 6 months to get a new license, but those theaters without one will be able to get a temporary one in about a month's time. Ray Barker is program director at the North Park Theater on Hertel Avenue in Buffalo, and he joins me live. Ray, it is great to have you here. What does this change mean for North Park?
Well, the change was necessary because there was a basic unfairness in the law. It didn't make any sense to allow alcohol sales before plays at places like Shea's in downtown Buffalo and then not allow them in movie theaters. So we're glad that the law has erred on the side of fairness.
Just to follow up on that briefly, what do you make of the fact that it could take up to 6 months before you're going to be able to get a full license, but maybe about a month's time to get one of those temporary ones?
Having dealt with permitting issues in the past, I know it can be a slow process, so that's to be expected, but we're glad that theaters have the option.
Ray, I want to talk to you about the theater industry generally for a moment. Of course, you were hit hard early in the pandemic. The film industry kind of came to a halt. We're now hearing with Omicron that some films are again getting delayed. Does that give you a little bit of pause, a little bit of worry right now?
I think there's a lot of unease in the air as it is because of Omicron, but we have to take a long-term and big picture view, and that is that we've seen the recovery of box office in the late fall. Thanksgiving, Christmas was a really good season, New Year's was a good season, and so we started to see recovery. Now, as Omicron has done its damage, that has worried some people, and some people aren't coming out, but COVID is something that we're learning to live with as best we can, and box office has been improving. So that's a positive sign.
Last year, with restrictions in place, a lot of the studios released their films straight to HBO Max and other streaming services so people could watch them right at home. I know recently it seems like, we had some blockbuster movies, Spider-Man, the new Scream movie, which I haven't seen yet, but I've got to get out to watch soon because I love that series. Do you worry about that trend long term about the industry, putting them right in people's homes and taking them away from the theaters?
I think the entire industry is worried about direct to streaming, but at the same time, many customers tell us that the cost of Netflix is going up, that the quality of Netflix original shows is not as good as it should be, that people are tired of being in their apartments. They want to go out. They want to enjoy a drink or a nice meal. I think the movie business has lasted over a century. It is going to last. It's going to get through this. Now, we are not dependent on the Hollywood production chain because we don't exclusively play Hollywood movies. So if they go direct to streaming or they delay their titles, that's going to affect the big chains like Regals and AMC's. We're going to have plenty of alternative and independent content for people in Buffalo.
Yeah, and of course, there's nothing like seeing a movie in a theater. I mean, as nice as it is at home, and TVs have gotten very nice, it's just not the same. I want to ask you too, theaters did get financial help in the form of pandemic relief, like a lot of other industries did last year. I imagine that money is long gone for North Park and all of your, the colleagues in the industry. But is there a need for more of that at this point? Has it bounced back enough that, you can make money and stay in business, or are we still at that kind of brink of losing some theaters, if not yours, maybe others?
Well, I think any business that's mandated to be closed for more than a year is going to have problems. We were required to be closed in the interest of public health. We understood that. It was a very difficult period, and we're very grateful that Senator Schumer and others came through with help for the movie theater industry. We think that was right that they did that because there's so many jobs that are connected to the movie business. We're seeing that with productions like Nightmare Alley in Buffalo. We want to see that continue. So theaters are a very important part of the food chain. I wouldn't say at this moment that we're in need of an additional bailout, but I think a lot depends on if mandated closures are coming down the line.
We've been chatting with North Park Theater's program director Ray Barker again on the news that now movie theaters are going to be able to more easily sell alcohol. Real quick, Ray, if you can, how soon do you think you'll be able to implement this at your theater?
We haven't made a decision to implement it, to be honest with you. We have a 100-year-old historic building. We don't want it to smell like stale beer. That wouldn't be good. So we'll have to decide what kind of rules there are. Just like Shays, they limit where you can take your champagne and so on. We're going to have to look at the costs of those permits. We're going to have to look at how much we could move and what our customers really want. So this has just happened. No decisions have been made, but we're thinking.
Yeah, it's day one, and we do know that for the industry, it is an important and welcome move. Ray Barker, great to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much.